Welcome into the hard count. It's Thursday, March 27th, 2025. Last one on the face of the planet, y'all. I'm not going to lie. We got an absolutely stacked show for you today. A lot to unpack. You got spring intel, which we'll start with, but we also got some propaganda from our friends over at Georgia and Tennessee. You know, if you watch the show, we inhale. We live for the propaganda this time of year. Also, got some voicemails to unpack, so make sure you're dialed in there, both literally and metaphorically. 629-888-3931, Cato on the ones and twos. So glad to have y'all here, man. It's a wonderful day to talk some college football. It's the month of March. We're about to fill darn near an hour's worth of college football talk into your day, so we appreciate you being a part of this. Best way to be a part of it, by being subscribed. Let's get this thing started, man. Let's go out to Auburn, Alabama. The folks over at Auburn Live just blessing us. Blessing all of us with some intel here around the Tigers. Jackson Arnold is the conversation for us ahead of spring football, ahead of 2025 when it comes to what the Tigers are going to do in the fall. And the reports on him are very good, which is a very simple way to put things, but I think the way they describe Jackson Arnold is where this gets a little bit more intriguing, a little bit more informative. When you compare what Jackson Arnold is to the way they talked about Peyton Thorne this time last year, this is not to dunk on Peyton Thorne, but Peyton Thorne was very much so a player who thought like a coach, thought in black and white terms. And I think we got to see a version of that from him throughout the fall whenever he would do different media obligations. He would speak through the scheme and speak through all the things he's unpacking throughout the course of a play when he's asked about his interception against Oklahoma or this, that, and the other. Jackson Arnold, while he has some of that to him, he is a guy that operates a lot better and maybe a lot more preferably in the gray area of a play. To put all this simply, man, he's got some baller to him. Got some gunslinger to him. Now, if you're an Auburn fan, you're like, okay, well, JD, we appreciate the gunslinger part of this, but gunslinger usually means you got a couple interceptions coming your way too, and that's the exact thing we're trying to get out. Well, you tried the other way. You tried the quarterback that doesn't have as much gunslinger to him, and you got what you got. So bringing in Jackson Arnold, I'm excited to see how that pairs with the Hugh Freeze offense. More of a, I don't want to say free spirit because that's a weird way to put it, but a guy who just is more of a football player, if you will, playing quarterback, and I think they're excited about him. When it comes to how Hugh Freeze describes Jackson Arnold, you just go listen to the press conferences speaking to Jackson Arnold. And when Peyton Thorne got to Auburn, the way Hugh Freeze talked about him was good leader, played a lot of football, excited to have him. Jackson Arnold comes to Auburn, and Hugh Freeze is saying, I'm excited about his skill set. I'm excited about what he can do throwing the football. Speaking a lot more to what Jackson Arnold is as a player as opposed to the facts about a Peyton Thorne. So again, we are pro Peyton Thorne on this show. I think he got maybe a little bit of a tougher deal last year than it's actually all in reality how it was. But overall, Jackson Arnold, they're excited about him. He also brings more of a calm presence, they feel like, to this offense. So all in all, good things around Jackson Arnold. Now I say that, but there's also a lot of buzz around a true freshman, early enrollee, 5-star quarterback, Deuce Knight. Now, when I heard that Deuce Knight was making some waves during spring practice in a positive way, there's a part of you that you're like, okay, that's great, but what does that mean for Jackson Arnold if we're hyping up this true freshman quarterback? I don't think that always bodes super well if I'm on the Jackson Arnold train. What I've been told is it's not so much a Jackson Arnold thing as much as it is like, hey, a Deuce Knight is going to give Jackson Arnold a pretty good push within this battle. Now, is he going to win the job? I would be surprised between you and I watching the show right now. I would be surprised if he ended up winning the job outright. But I will say, dude's 6'4", 213, runs in the 4.4 range and has a wicked left arm. Not playing him is what we call stupid on this show. Just a bad idea. When you have a dude with that skill set and you have the offensive acumen that Hugh Freeze does, they're going to find a way to put him on the field. I can't prove it, but I can feel pretty confident in promising he will have some sort of role here in 2025. Look at what Robbie Ashford was in this offense for Hugh Freeze. I've been told that Deuce Knight is a superior talent to Robbie Ashford, which tracks based on what we're hearing here. So the quarterback room, feel good about Arnold, feel good about Deuce Knight. Ashton Daniels will start practicing with the team in the fall, the Stanford transfer. But all in all, man, Deuce Knight and Jackson Arnold are getting the bulk of the reps. They're the only two scholarship quarterbacks in the spring right now that are practicing for Auburn. So if you're Deuce Knight and Jackson Arnold trying to learn the playbook, that's probably advantageous for you as we get rolling here heading into the second half, I suppose, of Auburn spring practice here around the corner. Now, the wide receiver room, this is not breaking news, but it's ridiculous. You knew that already when you checked out what the roster had on it, when you look at it on paper. Cam Coleman, with the wide receiver room being ridiculous, I've been told he is on another level of ridiculous. So that in itself, I mean, take what you want from that. We already knew he's a freak show. We already knew what he was physically. You got to see him flash a little bit more at the end of last season. I think he's going to pick up where he left off. I also think that when you talk about what they have at quarterback, there should be some confidence for a Cam Coleman now, maybe having more at quarterback to allow him to flash a little bit more. Auburn went a lot more drop back pass towards the end of last season than you saw it pay dividends for number 8, so I think that's something to keep an eye on. I've been told that he is a lot more smooth in his routes, which when you have a dude who's got the physical skill set of a Cam Coleman, you're kind of nitpicking to begin with. But again, another year playing college football. It's now his second spring. They're very, very excited, to say the least, about what he's going to be in 2025. Now, him and Eric Singleton now, remember, they got via the transfer portal from Georgia Tech. I was told from someone who watched practice that neither of those dudes lost a rep in one-on-ones. Now, Cato is the producer for the hard count. He played defensive back, and he will tell you, and I will also tell you, having played offense, one-on-ones absolutely favors the offense, but to have those dudes not lose a single rep, that's a good thing. Now, only a 10-minute period, so I don't know how many reps we're actually taking between those two, but it's not lose a rep. They're going to be a problem for you next year in 2025 out there on the Plains. Eric Singleton also is a guy that they're going to utilize in a number of different ways. He can line up out wide, line up in the slot. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him line up somewhere else in the formation. Like, he's a dude that you are not going to take off of the football field. So you start to do the math here in terms of the genres of receivers Auburn has. You got the big body Cam Coleman. You got Eric Singleton, who's kind of a supercharged gadget player of sorts. Oh, by the way, you also just have Malcolm Simmons, who runs like a 4.3, I've been told. So you got another speed freak there. To go along with Eric Singleton, I forgot to mention this. I've been told he's the fastest player on the team. And then you got Sam Turner, who's a true freshman who is going to, it sounds like, have some sort of role in an already stacked wide receiver room at Auburn. They're going to have what they need at the wide receiver position, okay? So that puts even more pressure on the quarterback position to be right, but it's not a thing where you don't have the guys to go win on the outside. And we've seen this now in modern college football. It's still about the bread and butter things. You still have to play good defense, still be able to run the football, win in the trenches. But if you don't have dudes that can burn out wide for you, you're not winning anything. Auburn has that equation. Auburn has that taken care of on the outside. Now, the defense, it's so early in spring practice, so I hesitate to get too invested on that side of the football. But the early returns are they are more talented than they were a season ago. And Auburn defensively last year allowed right around 23 points a game, so you have what you need there. With that being said, they're a little bit less proven. They're a lot more youthful. They believe that they will probably try the transfer portal at linebacker and on the defensive line, but my take on this is kind of my take across the board when you talk about trusting a coordinator. If it's good enough for DJ Durkin, it's good enough for me. DJ Durkin knows what he's doing on that side of the football. I'm going to go ahead and trust him that they're going to be in a good enough spot defensively. Now, will they be dominant? No, but I don't think you have to be dominant on defense to win the SEC or to do what Auburn's trying to do in 2025, which to me, the sweet spot, I've said before, I put this on the board, like 8-ish wins would be awesome for Auburn. That sets up 2026 being a year where you can go shoot for 10 and you win 10, you're in the playoff, and we're off to the races. But the bottom line here is, to put a bow on this for the Auburn spring intel, the talent level for you is no longer having to be compensated for on the Plains. Rewind like 3-4 years ago, you were trying to figure out a way to scheme around what you didn't have on your roster. Hey, can we have some sleight of hand to go beat the big boys in the SEC? You don't have to do that anymore. Now it's more so a question of, can you find a way to get over the hump and win those games and do the things that good teams do to go get that win total that you want to get and go achieve what you want to achieve. It's not about talent anymore. That's a tremendous talking point here for us as we move forward for Auburn. That's a tremendous thing to hear if you're an Auburn fan, that it's no longer about what you have in the cupboard. It's more about, can you put it together and follow the recipe. So excited to hear that for the good folks on the Plains. Now, what's the spring intel we're hearing out of Eugene, Oregon? Very, very early, as it is for a lot of these schools we're going to talk about. But what I am hearing out of Oregon is this roster in itself does replace a lot of production. We all already knew that. But when you talk about what it's going to look like in 25 in terms of like the model here, it's going to be very similar to Kirby Smart and those Georgia teams and those old Nick Saban Alabama teams. What I mean by that is, remember how you would always open up your preview magazine, or you would go check the front page of your favorite college football website, maybe it was ESPN at the time, and you would see the picture of the head coach. And you would see the logo of a Georgia or an Alabama logo, or Nick Saban, whatever. The reason for that being was we all still knew there was a lot of talent on those rosters. Now, it may not be the names that you knew before. It may not be the Dylan Gabriel that was returning back for Oregon in that situation, but there is a lot of 4 and 5 stars guys at Oregon that have played a little bit but are now going to be asked to step up. So you're in this position now to follow the Kirby Smart, Nick Saban model, which is you recruit at a high level, you keep those guys in-house, you develop, they do work on scout team, and then when it's their time to ball on Saturdays, they go deliver for you. So that's what the task is now ahead of Oregon here in 2025. It's not about talent. It's about similar to what we said about Auburn. Can you get it done when it's now your time? Excuse me. So Dante Moore is going to be the talking point for us really until we get to see him play meaningful football. They are excited about him from a skill set perspective. That's not what we're talking about. The thing with him is being able to step into the role of being the guy at Oregon, being able to be a more vocal leader. That's kind of been what's asked of him to this point in the spring and in the winter. I don't think it's a coincidence that Oregon starts winter workouts, and I believe the social team did a couple of different posts where they're blasting out Dante Moore addressing the team in front of a huddle, or they finish a workout, everyone's on a knee, and Dante Moore's in front of the team saying whatever he's saying. Like that is the goal for him right now, is pushing him out of his shell. Work in progress, doing a good job, but that is the next thing for him. The benefit that he has is he's able to look back at what Dylan Gabriel did and how he operated as a leader. Like Dylan Gabriel, we had him on the show during the season. Dude is as personable as it gets, as faced the franchise as it gets. To be able to see that throughout the course of an entire season, this is how you lead, this is how you handle your business, this is how you get acclimated to a game plan, whatever. I think that's invaluable. I'm really, really excited to see what he is in 2025, because we've said it many times. It's not so much a question of the talent around him or if he has the skill set we've talked about many times. It's about, can you play within the system? Because if you can, there's a lot of dudes to get the football to that are going to make good things happen for you. One of those guys they're excited about, true freshman DeCorian Moore. What I've been told is Moore to Moore is going to be a thing this fall. Yes, he's a true freshman, but dude can ball. They've been excited about what he's done throughout the winter in terms of offering leadership, even as a true freshman. They think he's going to be a player for him. Now, in addition to DeCorian Moore and all the things that he brings from a on-the-field perspective, Evan Stewart is back. And I think a lot of people nationally, maybe even some Oregon fans, say, Evan Stewart's back, big whoop. He was good-ish for us a year ago, but like, what are we really looking at here with an Evan Stewart? Well, one, he's going to be able to play in position now with DeCorian Moore also being on the roster, which takes some heat off my guy. Having Evan Stewart in his more natural position as a slot receiver is going to allow him to do what he does best, which is find his matchup, find some space, catch, get north and south. He played out wide last year because Tez Johnson is Tez Johnson. That dude's a walking 80-yard reception year, so you let him cook. But him now being in his more normal role, I think, is going to pay some massive dividends for Oregon here when they get rolling in the fall. Now, defensively, they feel like they are as good as they have been on that side of the football when it comes to depth up in the trenches. Bear Alexander is a guy they got via the portal, which has been kind of a story arc here for Bear Alexander over the course of his college football career, sort of a journeyman of sorts. And if you remember now, he was at USC last year and took that red shirt early on in the season to be able to have more time to play. And a lot of us, myself included, kind of raised our eyebrows here and said, all right, I don't know if I like this, Bear. I'd like to see you finish the season. I'd like to see you stick somewhere, as you've played a lot of different high schools, a lot of different colleges. The reports on him so far are he has been a model teammate, done everything he's been asked to do. He's working hard. And I love this for Oregon. I love this for Bear Alexander in terms of like the perfect storm that it is. He understands he's on the clock. He understands the ability he has to go be an NFL draft pick. It's kind of a now or never thing for Bear Alexander. And for Oregon, you have the benefit now of saying, Bear, if you want to come ball for us here, man, and do some good things, that's on you. Clearly, we have a model here to develop you. You watch Jordan Burch. You see Mateo Uiagalelei. You saw Derek Harmon last year. There's a mold here, brother, to go do some good things. It's on you to get it done. Nobody's questioning if Bear Alexander has the skill set. So to hear good things about him right now, that encourages me as an Oregon Duck fan, because we all know, man, you're in the Big Ten Conference. It's a line of scrimmage conference as much as anywhere else in college football, period. If you want to win at the highest level, you got to win in the trenches. And so now having Bear Alexander to go along with what they think is a too deep, they're going to be in a good spot. Going to be a very, very good spot up front. So you speak to some other parts of the defense. Dylan Thieneman is a safety transfer from Purdue. I've been told he's a first-round guy. And not just a first-round guy. They think he's like a surefire first-round NFL draft pick. I've been told that every single thing that he's doing, whenever you're hearing about what he's doing with his free time, it's football. He's in the weight room getting extra work. Sounds like he's just a football junkie. Have also been told he's the best safety they've had there since Javon Holland. Take that as you will, but Javon Holland just got paid in the league for the Dolphins. So there's that. But and it's exciting. It's an exciting time if you're Oregon, because you're at a spot now where you've been close a couple of times, been knocking on the door here, and you've just had this slow but steady trend under Dan Lanning. This is the year where you can go get it done. And I think they know that. I think there's some excitement around that. And with the roster talent they have, with how Dan Lanning operates, they're going to be in a spot to go have a chance to get it done. So very early on, but from winter and spring, good vibes out of Eugene, as you should have at this point in the calendar. Now let's take a trip out to Austin, Texas. Speaking of another college football playoff team here. The spring intel we're getting out of Texas, they feel like they are right in the window to go win a national title. And it's hard to argue, because the last couple of seasons you've made the semifinals in the 4-team model and the 12-team model. Texas is knocking on the door. And I want to backtrack here a second to that semifinal game a season ago. Everyone will just do the flyover thought of, well, they lost by 2 scores to Ohio State. Ohio State's Ohio State. Like, it is what it is. What if we live in the alternate universe where Texas punches it in from the 1-yard line, and maybe we go to overtime with Ohio State? If we're Texas, maybe we have a chance where that's momentum swinging our way and we find a way to win that football game, and then we go play Notre Dame for a national championship. Cato and I were talking the other day. What's that spread at if they go play Notre Dame for the national title? I don't know, but I think it's a slight favorite towards Texas, maybe 2.5, 3.5. Doesn't matter, but the point being, there is, I think, some real focus for this team ahead of 2025 because of how close they've been the last couple of years. Sark being that close the last couple of years, I have to imagine, leads to a sense of validation. Okay, what we're doing is working here. But we're all going to talk about Arch Manning here this spring. And there are only a few practices in, but the expectation for Arch Manning is he's going to be really good. And it's interesting how they've talked about Arch, because with as high profile as he is and as high profile as he was as a recruit, I think it's very easy to want to tippy-toe with a personality like that. You don't want to put him too far out in the spotlight. You don't want to have him be this larger-than-life story, but Texas hasn't really fought that. Like, I think Texas and the fan base and the media and I think everyone internally understands, like, no, this is the time. This is what you signed up for. He's had his time to wait. He's watched Quinn Ewers do it. He's been a part of some good teams. Like, it is now Arch Manning's team. And by all accounts, he understands that. He knows what comes with that, and he is embracing all of that. So that's why you're seeing him do the Marty Smith interview. You're seeing him do the Red Bull NIL deals. Like, nobody's questioning Arch Manning's commitment to football, and the fact that he's now in a place where he's able to be a little bit more front-facing and that Texas is cool with that should tell you a little bit about the confidence they have in what he's going to be here in 2025. What I've been told is the folks in Texas are ready to ride the hype train. There's no half-stepping here. They believe he's that good. He has, to this point, been as advertised behind closed doors. Now it's time to go do it on Saturdays. In regards to what it's going to look like offensively with him at quarterback, they think they can do a bit more within the playbook, is what I've been told. He's got the mobility part of him. You can do some more designed quarterback runs. What he is downfield as a passer, I'm really curious to see, because you got Ryan Wingo, who's got some LASIK now, so look out. The guy's running in for he's got over 16 yards of catch in the SEC. Just, going the Braille kind of approach there for my guy. So good to see he's going to have some vision here. They think they can kind of open things up a little bit more with Arch Manning, is, I guess, the sentiment I'm trying to drive home here. Trey Wisner gets another year in the system. Jarrett Gibson, they asked probably to play, I would have to believe, I don't know this to be the case, but I have to believe you asked him to play earlier than maybe you would have envisioned he would have at Texas. So running back room, Still some things you're sorting out, but you feel good there. The offensive line is really interesting because they're replacing 4 different guys. Anytime you lose 4 of 5 starters on the offensive line, typically that's reason for some internal panic. Not Texas. Texas is like, cool, we lose our 4 offensive linemen, we bring back 1 starter. We feel good about it. And the reason for that being, they are going to replace those 4 offensive linemen with guys with experience. And the one cat that doesn't have experience is Brandon Baker, and he's a 5-star kind of profile player. So maybe he ends up having the role that he's going to be a full-time starter. We'll see how the spring goes. The bottom line here is offensive line is going to be a position of strength they believe in Austin. Now, defensively, there's optimism around the defensive line. I think it's interesting now the last couple of years we have, I guess really just last year, we're asking questions about the trenches for Texas because you had Devondre Sweat and you had Byron Murphy both go to the league after Texas makes the college football playoff. They play to the last snap against Washington, and we're all like, well, was that their year? I mean, those dudes are 2 NFL draft picks, 2 All-Americans. Is that their year? And then they run it back this upcoming season, or this past season, 2024, and like Texas didn't really miss a beat. Still one of the best line of scrimmage teams in college football. So it's still wait and see a little bit with the defensive tackles, but me personally, with all they have around them in this defense, from a Colin Simmons to an Anthony Hill with the pass rush, with the experience on the back end with Michael Taft, like they still feel good about this defense. There's a lot of confidence there. Is there some things you're waiting and seeing about defensively? Sure, but I don't think there's any real major unknown. And that's kind of the way they feel right now out there in Austin. One thing I did here, which I think is super fascinating, speaking to the Texas defense, you lose a Jahdae Barron, and he played all over the field for Texas a season ago. Did a lot of things for them. Played the nickel, played true corner. One thing they were able to do, though, with how rangy that secondary was last year, they were able to play a lot of one high coverage. And when you have 1 safety deep as opposed to 2 safeties deep, what does that mean? It means you have more bodies up close to the line of scrimmage to be able to play better run support. They think they may do some more of that this upcoming season. The question is, can you replace a Jahdae Barron or replace schematically enough of what Jahdae Barron brought to the table to still play that at a high level? But the Michael Taft effect, I have to believe, is going to play a factor here for Texas, bringing him back with his experience and his leadership. And there's a ton of confidence in what they're going to be overall on the defensive side of the football. So we speak about Texas and we speak about like, the unknowns and the things we're trying to get a gauge for, but like these are still champagne problems. Like you're still speaking about the unknown at Texas in the context of a team that I believe is the number 1 team in the country heading into 2025. Will they play that way? Will they finish that way? Remains to be seen, but it's not about the ingredients at Texas. They're in a good spot. So Texas vibes are, as we say during spring practice, where they're supposed to be. Arch Manning experience is going to be awesome, but nobody is shying away from the hype train. In fact, everyone's buckling up, buying their ticket, ready to ride, and it should be a good time out there in Austin in the fall. Now, one more team to touch on here. What is the latest spring intel out of Lincoln, Nebraska? Lincoln was an exciting place to be this time last year because you're talking about, Dylan Raiola, what's he going to be? Is he going to win the job? Is he this? Is he that? He won the job. We all had our eyes work during spring practice and see the spring game and saw him do some things you haven't seen a Nebraska quarterback do in quite some time. Carries over to the season, saw some good, saw some bad. The expectation is for 2025 around Dylan Raiola, now with the bowl drought behind them, they believe the offense is a lot more set up for success for him in 2025. A big part of that is who you have calling the plays. Dana Holgorsen takes over the offensive coordinator duties midway through last year, towards the end of last year actually. And the tricky part with him being the OC, was he was calling an offense that wasn't exactly his. Like you can't reinstall an entire offense when you're already 2/3 of the way through the season. So he's trying to essentially drive a car that he hadn't actually put together. The thought, though, for 2025 is more tempo, more pace. It's going to be his offense. They would like to get the ball out of Dylan Raiola's hands quickly and get the ball to playmakers that you got via the portal that you feel good about. Hardly Gilmore, a receiver from Kentucky, along with Dane Key. They feel really good about him. Cortez Mills is a true freshman that he will play at some point in some capacity this coming season. When you talk about Raiola, though, I think it's really interesting the steps he's taking to be the guy at Nebraska, which is something we've harped on a lot on this show. Very big difference having that QB1 label next to your name on the roster and the depth chart and actually being the dude at Nebraska. Because last year, he didn't walk in as the guy. He still had to win the job. He's this true freshman that a lot of people are wondering if he's got the stuff to do all the things that he is saying he wants to do during his commitment poem to Nebraska. He's at a spot now where it's his team. Nobody's questioning that. This is the first time since 2021 that Nebraska fans know without a shadow of a doubt who their starting quarterback is going to be game one. That's nice. That's a nice little luxury for the folks out there in Lincoln. So with that being the case now, speaking to him being the guy, sounds like he's a little bit more vocal. He is organizing some of those throwing sessions with his guys, which a year ago, it's hard to tell everybody, hey, we're throwing, you better be there. If you're not there, we got problems. I don't know if that's the verbiage he's using, but you can't say that when you're a true freshman early enrollee. You don't have the credentials to. Now with a year under his belt, a bowl win under his belt, sounds like he's taking those steps, and I think that's a very, very good sign for Nebraska fans. Defensively, there's not a ton to talk about here. Obviously, a new defensive coordinator, John Butler. The thought with them, though, is they're going to be in a position defensively to be a little bit more exotic. So last year, you have some situations where UCLA game's a great example. Multiple 3rd and 8s that UCLA, which UCLA wasn't really a world beater last year offensively, they were just converting consistently, especially in the first quarter of that game, first half of that game. They're having their way with Nebraska to a certain extent. And so I think the thing I would tell Nebraska fans during spring practice, the expectation is they're going to be a lot more equipped to disguise their defense, disguise their scheme, and also be a little bit more aggressive, which if you're a Nebraska fan, you're like, hey, bring it on. That's our bread and butter here. Dasan McCullough will have a role. They'll move him around, transfer linebacker from Oklahoma. I mean, the skill set for him is obvious physically. I mean, 6'5", dude can run around, rush the passer. Really excited to see what that role for him looks like in the fall. And obviously you hear about it throughout the spring, but he's someone they're excited about and they think can help them here when it comes time to execute that new defense they're going to be rolling with here in 2025. So Raiola is the big thing I'm watching. Sounds like he's making some efforts here to transform his body and be more mobile and be more of a playmaker. But the hope is, again, for Nebraska offensively, you don't want Dylan Raiola doing his best Pat Mahomes impression. You want him back there, catch, see it, ball out to these wide receivers that they're really excited about here in Lincoln. I was told this is, I think, their one of, if not their best position group on the team. So for Nebraska, something to monitor, and we will, of course, monitor it across the rest of spring practice, and we will make sure we have you dialed in right here on the On3 YouTube channel. Speaking of being dialed in, I know a lot of y'all are dialed in this time of year. So there's a certain college basketball tournament going on this month, actually, and it's known for being a little bit kooky, a little bit crazy. If you want to get to some of those games, as we roll into a later part of that specific college basketball tournament, Game Time has got you covered, baby. Lock in with Game Time. Use code HARDCOUNT. It's got everything you need to make sure you have the best viewing experience, paired with, now, the best price point that you get that viewing experience at. Okay, so Game Time, safe, easy, effective, affordable way to purchase tickets. Little something to keep an eye on here if you're using Game Time. Game Time Picks, they have a little curation that makes it easier to find better value for tickets to sports, concerts, comedy, theater, college basketball tournaments. All that you need is within the Game Time app. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use the Game Time app. We're going to download the Game Time app. We're going to use code HARDCOUNT. Okay, very important. Use code HARDCOUNT. And when you use code HARDCOUNT, save yourself a little bit of money, all right? Make sure you use that. Get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code HARDCOUNT for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, great stuff by Game Time. Appreciate them bringing it. Appreciate y'all locking in with us and getting to those sporting events that may or may not be happening this month in the world of college basketball, right? So we appreciate them for that. Now, I think Game Time, if I had to guess, also probably has tickets available for maybe some spring football games. And we're going to get there. Don't worry. We're going to get, for those that are still having spring football games, we're going to celebrate those and enjoy those. But before we get to those, we got some propaganda. That's holding us over, baby. And golly, I mean, you check the timeline, man. You got to search for it to make you work for it. Some of these teams do, but spring propaganda is in full force across the country right now. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, spring propaganda for us on this show is when your fan site for your favorite college football team, or maybe your college football team's social media team in general puts out some clips. It's clips that we get to see, enjoy, inhale, and then we break it down to the nth degree, man. Like if you put out a clip, I promise you, We will talk about it. We will tell you what we were taking from it. It may mean everything. It may mean nothing. But with that being said, we got some good propaganda here, piping hot and fresh. Let's start in Athens, Georgia. Some great propaganda here, man. So they put out a couple different hype videos over the course of the last, I want to say, few days. Let's check out this first one because we got some Gunnar Stockton to unpack here. Now check this out. Gunnar Stockton, whipping it around, nice little spiral there, with the visor too, something to take note of. We say this with propaganda in the spring. Pay attention to frequency. We say that with intel. I think it's the same for propaganda when it comes to these hype videos. This hype video that we're pulling these clips from is right around 50 seconds long. You're watching a full 9 seconds of Gunnar Stockton. I believe Gunnar Stockton in one of those hype videos was the first player shown. Now, again, we're talking about the quarterback battle. They're going back and forth, him and Ryan Puglisi. I'm a Ryan Puglisi stan. If y'all watch this show, that's my guy. He's a dog, metaphorically, literally. I think he's going to have a great career at Georgia. But this social media team is not doing us any favors to stoke the fire and flames of what this quarterback battle is supposed to be. It looks like Gunnar Stockton's taking reps with at least one of the starting tight ends, Lawson Lucky. It's no question he's going to take reps with the ones, but the social media team is making sure we're seeing those reps with the ones, with Lawson Lucky getting some work there at the tight end position. Also, I'll say this for Gunnar Stockton. You watch that clip, my guy's rocking the visor. And as I was getting ready for the segment, dude, like, isn't it about time Georgia had a quarterback with a visor? And I'm being a little bit facetious here, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but, like, legitimately. I want a quarterback with some moxie, some swag to him. We did the whole pro passer thing with Carson Beck, and he was great for 1 year. Last year is another story in terms of how it all went. I don't even think all that's Carson Beck's fault. But I want my quarterback with a little swag to him. Wear that shield. Get his block knocked off. Dead on the turf in Atlanta, Georgia. Comes back to life, trots off the field. I like that from Gunnar Stockton, man. So, again, could be nothing, could be something, but I like seeing a little Gunnar Stockton propaganda in the social media hype video from the Georgia football team. Again, 20% is a lot. Be 20% Gunnar Stockton on one of the hype videos, just saying. Could be something, maybe nothing, but could be something. Another clip let's check out here. We've spliced these together here from the social media team at Georgia. Couple of big body wide receivers getting some burn here. Very quick, so don't blink. C.J. Wiley, true freshman wide receiver, little over-the-shoulder catch there. Colby Young back in the fold, making a catch there. Looks like that's potentially 7-on-7, could be 1-on-1, doesn't really matter, making a catch, turning upfield. You pretty much know what you're getting with Colby Young. It's encouraging to see the young buck C.J. Wiley making some plays there too. Again, that could be against air, but getting highlighted in the hype video, so good for C.J. Wiley. These two players, respectively, we told you, big body. Big body, hard body, man. 6'4", 210 from C.J. Wiley. 6'3", 215 from Colby Young. Georgia missed this last year, dude. I don't think it's a coincidence he also went to the transfer portal and grabbed Noah Thomas from A&M, who's like 6'5 plus. Georgia did not have a guy at the wide receiver position that you felt their presence in the red zone. Like, tight end position is one thing, but there wasn't somebody that I was watching last year saying, oh, hey, they could go top shelf here to Colby Young, and they could go top shelf here to C.J. Wiley, put it away where the kids can't get it. I didn't see that last year from Georgia, and we've seen the great Georgia teams, when you think back, like, have a guy like that. Like, A.J. Green was a guy for them, obviously, in that capacity. Brock Bowers is a tight end, but you split him out wherever you wanted to when he was a jump ball fiend. At best, it's a matchup just smorgasbord for you. You're just eating good and picking on the little DB. At worst, you have to account for it. Like, I mean, Colby Young played in 5 games last year, but when he wasn't on the field, they missed that. There was nobody that struck fear into your heart on the perimeter. You had Arian Smith, who was a burner, but, like, you need to have some variety at the wide receiver position. So, seeing these dudes being highlighted during spring, making some plays, that's good vibes in Athens. That's good vibes. That's what propaganda is here for. Now, one more wide receiver I want to highlight, true freshman. Another true freshman here, young buck. We told you from the spring intel we've got. Dogs HQ doing the Lord's work. Talon Taylor. 5-star, top 3 wide receiver from this most recent cycle for us here at On 3, making some plays. Again, frequency. Seen him a few times here throughout these most recent highlight videos from Georgia. I like. How about the effect there from the Georgia social team, man? Get yourself counted up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 catches on one catch for Talon Taylor. Talk about focus there. Like to see that. One is, it's nice to see him making plays. Like, that's exciting. 5-star wide receiver, doing some work in the spring, making a nice catch there. It's a good feeling for you, visually. But I will say, too, if you're going to go win the national title this year at Georgia, you need to have your passing game step up. And Gunnar Stockton, I think, is good enough to get it done, but that wasn't the issue last year. Like Carson Beck, we've said many times, not a great year, statistically speaking. But the big issue for you a season ago was you led the country in drops, dude. So to see a true freshman making some plays, I promise you, Kirby Smart does not care what age you are. He doesn't care what year you are. If you can ball and help this team, he is going to play you. Now, I am still fiending for Noah Thomas propaganda, Zachariah Branch propaganda. Cato and I are in agreement. So Georgia social team, if you're watching this, would love to see those guys have some elongated clips in future hype videos. But this is nice. Talon Taylor making plays, CJ Wiley making plays, Colby Young making plays. We're here for all this. Seeing this propaganda at the wide receiver position specifically is like seeing a preview in theaters. I've never once watched a preview to a movie and had the preview suck, have the movie be good. If the preview's good, I'll probably go watch the movie. Doesn't mean the movie's going to be great, but it means that there's enough there to get me excited about the movie, if you catch my drift. So, preview here, Talon Taylor, CJ Wiley, Colby Young, good preview. Think we can expect a good movie. But Gunnar Stockton rocking the visor here. I'm here for that. So, propaganda out of Athens. I need more of it. I love it. We're inhaling it, and we are injecting it straight into the bloodstream. Now, let's go from Athens, Georgia, out to Knoxville, Tennessee. Some propaganda for the Vols, baby. And this was a one-clip wonder, a little slow-motion action from the team out there in Tennessee. Check this out. You got Nico Iamaleava rocking the GoPro on the helmet in the sweats. Okay, delivering a strikeout here. Chris Brazel, how you doing? 1 foot down, that's a catch. I might have got 2 feet down there. Shout out to the league. This is what I wanted to see this spring. Now, it would be nice. Beggars can't be choosers, but it'd be nice to see a nice little deep ball over the top to Chris Brazel. But I'll take a out route, comeback route looking thing right there. Couple of things to highlight here. Start with Nico. Little pat of the feet there if you watch that clip. That could mean a couple of things. I'm taking a lot from Little here, but the first part is either one, that's not his first read. He's getting off his first read, resetting, and finding Chris Brazel, or he is waiting for something to clear and then settling his feet, finding Chris Brazel on the sideline. Either way, it means he's seeing it. He is seeing the defense. He is getting from one read to the second, or he's waiting for someone to clear, and he is diagnosing it enough to where he looks like he's on time to hit that route. Like if he's late on that route, it's not a highlight. It's a low light. We're talking about it in practice the next day, and we're breaking it down in the film room, and it's not a good feeling when that whole thing comes around. So for Nico to be seeing it to a certain degree, that's really what we're asking for here. And we got the spring intel from our friends over at VolQuest, man, like doing the Lord's work covering Tennessee. That's kind of been the challenge for Nico. Hey, can we make more definitive, potentially quicker decisions? How quick was that decision? We don't know because it's a slow-motion clip, and it's also something where we're catching a play that is after the snap, so we don't know the timing of all that. The bottom line, though, is this is a good sign. This is a good sign. If this is the way things are trending, this is something to get fired up about. Because if Nico's able to play on time in this offense and be consistently making the right decision and consistently have a quick trigger, dude, everyone else's job is way easier. Way easier because then the line has to block for a substantially less amount of time. The skill just has to do their job and get open, and you have confidence that Nico will find you and get it to you when you're supposed to have it. Like, that is the thing for Tennessee this year, in my humble opinion. In addition to that, you want to see the deep ball, but again, if we're taking propaganda at face value, a lot from a little, fires me up. The other thing here, seeing Chris Brazel make a catch like that, dude, just it's eye candy. It truly is, because that's been the question for us really all spring leading into 2025 is, can somebody in the Tennessee wide receiver room stand up and be an absolute dude for you? Now, I'll say this. We got to see spring practice a year ago. Got to go to the indoor. I want to say it was practice 12 or 13. Saw some teams, saw some 7-on-7. Yo, I left that practice like, hey, Chris Brazel might be all SEC. Like, he was that impressive. He transferred from Tulane a year ago, averaged 16 yards a catch. Had some flash moments this year, most notably that touchdown catch against Alabama. But if he can be a dude for you, man, I mean, oh my gosh. Then we can actually have a real assessment around Nico Iamaleava. Because my thing has been, hey, I'd like to see more from the guy. However, how hard can you really be on Nico when you don't actually know if he's getting what he needs at receiver? If Chris Brazel can just be that wide receiver one for you, and then also have Mike Matthews step up, like that's where this Tennessee offense really starts to become what we all are expecting it to eventually be. Then you're back to the 2022 vibes. Again, a lot from a little, asking a lot of Chris Brazzell, but that's what's been missing for Tennessee. Seeing receivers make plays like that consistently and go be explosive for this Tennessee offense. One more thing I'll add here. You talk about those clips. Very important to notice now, the swag. I'm not talking about the body language, that's one thing, but the swag that you got Nico wearing sweats, Chris Brazzell wearing sweats. Cato and I were talking. You do not get to be a bum in college football and wear sweats at practice. Not allowed. It's an unwritten rule. I'll think back to my time at Baylor. During the summer in Waco, Texas, it's like 110 degrees, dude. 110 degrees. And we are all in, as the Matt Rule, code of conduct is, you're wearing your team-issued workout shirt, dry fit, shorts, the right socks, all that. Now, we had a dude on the team by the name of JaMychal Hasty, and he was a dog at running back, bro. Absolute dog. He rolls up to a summer workout, mind you, not even spring practice, where it's a little bit, I'm sure, chilly in the morning in Knoxville. Summer practice, full-on sweatsuit, dude. Full-on, like hoodie, sweats, all of it. Nobody said a word. Why? Because he's that dude. JaMychal Hasty went on to be an NFL running back. When you're a dude, you wear sweats. A lot from a little, but when you're a dude, you wear sweats. Both dudes now wearing sweats, and everyone seems to be okay with it. I'll leave it at that. To bring it back here to Tennessee, if Nico becomes who we think he can be, and if the offense is able to have guys like Chris Brazzell elevate, Tennessee's going to be able to get back to the college football playoff. But if you have receivers step up, not just be elevating guys, but be guys that are true potential all SEC guys, then you open up the conversation to, well, how far could Tennessee go in this thing? Not just can they make the dance, that's nice, but can they build on 2024 and be a team that wins a couple games in the playoff? Maybe they get hot at the right time. Remains to be seen, but we love propaganda. We love this from Tennessee. Keep it coming. And we are patiently awaiting the GoPro footage from Nico Iamaleava's helmet to hit the social media timeline. And we wait for that eagerly here, Tennessee, if you're watching this. So good stuff all around from the propaganda side of things from our folks out in Knoxville. Also, man, tag us. Tags in the propaganda. We've had a couple of y'all do that so far. Had our guy Mike Singer at bluegold.com tag us in a little Jeremiah Love routes on air. It was nice. It was very, very nice. Might make the show here in the future. You got John Mateer getting mic'd up. Oklahoma, man, they do it right when it comes to propaganda. We appreciate them for that. We got a voicemail, speaking of Oklahoma, from our guy Freaky T. Freaky T wants to talk the national perception around the Sooners. Take a listen.
Hey, Mr. PicKell, this is Freaky T from Soonerscoop.com, the Crimson Corner. Am I crazy for thinking these win projections and the national media's projections of Oklahoma's outlook is kind of wild? Or am I putting too much stock in Arbuckle and Mateer? I'm thinking last year, dude, if we just had an average offense, that's an 8-win team with a decent to good offense on that team last year. That a team probably 9-10 wins fighting for a playoff spot. If we can expect those two guys to just be decent at worst, how are we not going to win at minimum 8 games? Probably 9 or 10. Anyways, love to hear your take on that. I love the show. Love what you do. Thanks for stopping by the corner and soliciting this phone call.
So Oklahoma fans, make sure you are subscribed right here. The more that you subscribe to the channel on these specific segments, if you're an Oklahoma fan or whatever fan you root for, or whatever team you root for rather, and you subscribe to the channel, that gives us intel that you want to see more of that content. So Oklahoma fans, if you want to see more stuff like this, go ahead and subscribe. We appreciate you for that. Freaky T, man, from the Crimson Corner, the Sooner Scoop message board or Oklahoma on 3 site, brings up a valid point, man. Brings up a very valid point, because defensively now last year, you were really good. I mean, one of the better defensive units in the country, right? Offensively, it was Wrigley's Believe It or Not, man. You never knew what you were getting every single week from that side of the football. If you are putting too much stock, Freaky T, into Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer, I am too. We are too. So if that ship goes down, we're like the Titanic, man. We're playing the violin as that thing goes down with you, brother. That's where we're at right now. Last year, though, I was not on this same wavelength. I mean, infamously, I said I think they're going to win 6 games. Now, they had some injuries, which catered to them winning 6 games, but there was a lot of things there offensively for Oklahoma that you were just kind of hoping would go right. You put that raft together, you tie it up with bamboo, and you got your sail made out of a bed sheet, and you pushed that thing off into the monsoon that was the SEC, and like it went how it went. You were hoping Jackson Arnold would be ready. You're hoping a new OC would be ready to roll, and just offensive line, 5 new guys. It wasn't that cohesive. You have a lot of continuity here, at least at quarterback to OC to quarterbacks coach, John Kuzier. Like there's a lot there where you say, okay, we don't have to hope quite as much. We can bank on a few things here. Yeah, we need the receivers to be able to stay healthy and have Giovanni Gibson do what he's doing on these Oklahoma social videos. We need the offensive line to look good and look better than last year, of course. But there's a lot of clues. In addition to the things you bank on, there's a lot of clues to provide some more confidence. I keep saying this because I think it's just so noteworthy. Nobody is tippy-toeing around John Mateer being a dog. Everyone in Norman is like, yeah, he's a dude, man. He is an absolute baller. We're going to be in good shape with him pulling the trigger. Everything else, we'll see how it translates, but we feel good about John Mateer. I don't think we put enough value on that as a college football society. When you say it with your chest during the spring, it means you feel 99% confidence you are not going to be wrong. Otherwise, you don't say it with your chest, man. Like, if I'm the weatherman and I think it's going to be 100 degrees tomorrow and I feel confident about it, I'm not tippy-toeing around it. I'm hitting the news, hitting the green screen, and letting everybody know it's 100 tomorrow. Bring your sunscreen. Hit the pool. Why? Because I know I'm right. Oklahoma, they're telling everyone, we know we're right. John Mateer's a dog. So that's that. Now, if you're an Oklahoma fan, we said this on the show in a clip-out video the other day, you're actually at a point now, it's kind of nice, it's going to come down to the defense if John Mateer is who we all believe he's going to be. How nice is that? If I told you after you lost to Navy, hey, next season will depend on what your defense is. And oh, by the way, Brent Venables is calling it. Okay, we can work with that. Isn't that kind of what you would want at this point in the college football calendar year? You're saying, can a Brent Venables defense be good enough for us in 2025? Okay, like I want the pressure on my defensive head coach, arguably the best defensive mind in college football. I want that. Guess what? He wants it too. There's a reason why he called for the ball in the post and said, let me call the defense, baby. Give it to me. He wants that pressure. He understands what it is. I think that the schedule for Oklahoma, paired with Brent Venables and what he brings to the table as a defensive coordinator, sets up kind of nicely because the schedule is brutal. We'll talk about that. But 6 of the 9 Power 4 opponents that Oklahoma is going to play will have a new starting quarterback than they did a season ago. Like you get Bryce Underwood potentially, if not him, Mikey Keene for your second game of the season. Jackson Arnold, you get him, and he's a guy that I think Oklahoma has to feel some confidence against. No shade on Jackson Arnold. Like Arch Manning, you think he's going to be great? No guarantee. You go down the line here, man. Like Oklahoma defensively should be able to cook up a few curveballs for these new quarterbacks, in a lot of cases, youthful quarterbacks. I'll take that every single time if I'm Brent Venables. Every single time. Now, the schedule sucks. No way around it. We showed you the schedule. The schedule sucks. But honestly, it's weird to say this time last year compared to now, I don't worry about Oklahoma on paper nearly as much as I used to. Like, I don't think you have to squint to see Oklahoma win 9 games, like Freaky T was saying. Like the defense, if it comes down to the defense this year, I think that's kind of the way you're living here, quite frankly. I really do. I think that things in March aren't certain as well. Like you talk about how hard the schedule is going to be for Oklahoma. We think that. Do we know that? Because last year in March, we also thought Florida State was a top 10 team in college football. Didn't work out that way. We think right now that Texas is going to be a great matchup for Oklahoma. We don't know exactly what Texas is going to be right now in March. I think they're going to be great, but again, I don't know. Ole Miss, same thing, new quarterback. There's so much unknown right now to where you can have an opinion on Oklahoma's schedule and have that Oklahoma schedule opinion do a 180 by November. Like that's just the way that we exist in college football. So the point in all of this, Freaky T, to drive it home here, if you are off base here on your thought around how good Oklahoma can be in 2025, we're right there with you. The current win total, I should have led with this, but we'll say it now. The current win total projection for Oklahoma is 6.5 in Vegas. Notably, down a full game from last year where they were projected to win 7.5. So I'm just saying, the offense you feel good about, defense you feel confident about the trajectory, but at the very least, man, I feel good about the floor. And Freaky T, you're not crazy. I haven't heard what the national take is yet on Oklahoma when it comes to win total. I haven't seen anybody put anything out yet. But in relation to that win total in Vegas, you're not crazy. I will put a fair amount of my daughter's college fund on the over there. and try to do some work there to double that up for us. So that's our thoughts on Oklahoma. But Freaky T, appreciate you calling in. Again, 629-888-3931. Now a natural transition here from our friends in Norman to our friends in Los Angeles. Got one of you wanting to give us a quick call and give us your thoughts around Lincoln Riley and how things sit for him currently as it pertains to his job at USC.
Hi, JD. My name is Only Natties at USC. I'm on two sites, wearesc.com and the P to Peristyle. I just have a general question. If Riley doesn't deliver a playoff season, would you say that his reputation is forever tarnished and he'll be definitely on the hot seat at USC? I'm a USC fan, and it's time for him to deliver, put up or shut up, because if he doesn't deliver, that, yeah, I think he's definitely on the hot seat.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. Only Natties, also awesome name. Awesome name. Only Natties being your username for We Are SC. That's a good deal. USC on 3 site, We Are SC. Tap in there. Tremendous work done by the entire team over there. But I think that username actually caters pretty well to the point we've been making around USC for a while here. They expect to win at the highest level. Like, nobody at USC is saying, oh, good, 8 wins. Awesome. Sweet. No, that's exactly what we need to pacify us as we head down 55 and go spend some time in the Pacific Ocean on Newport Beach. It's not the vibe, man. That's a logo with tradition, with high standard. And for Lincoln Riley now, when you look at what he's done on paper, it has been a steady decline. Hear me clearly. Hear me very clearly. The numbers on paper, I don't believe, indicate the job that he's done at USC. My hope is that the powers that be around USC would understand that. And I think that as much as Only Natties has a really valid point he's making, I think that you look closer and contextualize what those 3 years have been for USC. I think there's more to that than what meets the eye. So the record's gotten worse every year. I don't think USC's gotten worse every year. Let's go year by year, though, and unpack this. Year 1, double-digit wins. Awesome. Awesome. Caleb Williams pops, kind of catches the Pac-12 slipping a little bit. Go to New Year's Six bowl game. Forgettable. You'd like to forget the way that finished, but it is what it is. Year 1, you're like, okay, hey, next year we're making the college football playoff. Let's go. Caleb Williams is back. Lincoln Riley's going to take the Pac-12 again by storm. We run things now. The college football playoff path runs through Los Angeles. Awesome. Wasn't really the way that went. In year 2, you fall to a lesser win total, which isn't ideal. But I do think, not to provide an excuse, but to contextualize this some more, Pac-12 was the best conference in college football that year. Everyone says, JD, you SEC homer. Pac-12 was the best conference in college football that year. The Pac-12 had 4 teams finish in the top 20. 2 of those teams finished in the top 10. One of those teams made the college football playoff and played for a national championship in Washington. And that was a team that USC played to a 10-point game. Now, that's a year where you don't give credit for playing Washington to a 10-point game. Like, it is what it is. I do think, though, you finish that season and you watch the credits roll and you just kind of chalk it up to the defense not being good at all. Like, defense was abysmal. Up to that point, you could maybe talk yourself into, well, it's a personnel thing. Well, it's other things around you. It's not Alex Grinch. It can't be Alex Grinch. It looks like, based on year 2 to year 3, it was Alex Grinch. This is not me dunking on Alex Grinch. That's just kind of the way that things have shaken out for USC. So give Lincoln Riley credit for adapting on defense. In year 3, they were substantially better on that side of the football. Like, we all watched them that first game of the season in 2024 against LSU. And while, it was a game where LSU still scored a good amount of points and Garrett Nussmeier had a good amount of yards, you watched a very different visual product on defense from USC. They're tackling. They're flying to the football. There's violence when they arrive at the football. There was a very, very clear lifestyle change on defense for USC. And then on paper, they improved by a whole touchdown. So the defense was a lot better. Year 2, that was the massive governor. You would have liked the offensive line to be better, of course. Skill, you would love if Jordan Addison could have stayed healthy, but it was what it was, man. Ball up top. But year 3, to speak to that, you have another decline in win total. You win 7 games last year with the bull win. This is one that, again, not making excuses, just to contextualize. Again, the Big Ten was the best conference in college football. So you count this now. The last couple of seasons for USC, they have played in the best conference the last 2 years in college football, is what it is. You don't have the standard Lincoln Riley brand quarterback in Miller Moss. I don't know that he was the problem, but we've seen a lot of times for Lincoln Riley, the quarterback not just isn't the problem, they're the solution. Like, having a bad defense for Lincoln Riley coached football teams had kind of been the status quo. That had good defense last year, but didn't have a good enough quarterback to be able to maximize it. So Jaden Mayava takes over the job later in the year. It was one of those things where USC just couldn't find a way to close out games, man. Like, you actually look closer at the year that it was. They play a team that plays for a national championship in the fourth quarter with a chance to tie. They're driving the football down the field, throw a pick six. The box score looks way worse, but they had a lead or were tied in every single game in the fourth quarter. They lost. Like, USC, it's totally understandable to say it's not acceptable what we have from a wins and losses perspective. Totally fair. I get that. I agree. But to act like the right things aren't happening behind closed doors with Lincoln Riley, to me, I have more of an issue with that. Like, you play the national title runner-up in the fourth quarter. You took a team to overtime that played in the semis in Penn State. You don't get credit for being close. But I do think when we evaluate what USC is as a product, for me, it's hard to definitively say that they are in a decline. I don't know if I would align with that. So to answer your question here, do they need to make a playoff run? Otherwise, he's on the hot seat. I don't think I agree with that, Only Natties. Now, if we're talking about this over the course of the next 3 years, I would definitely think they need to make a playoff. Like, I think that absolutely has to happen. But what I would give credit for Lincoln Riley, and what I think needs to be maybe accounted for, is they have evolved and adapted like good teams do. Lincoln Riley, whether it's been his choice or whether he has gotten some pressure from the administration to adapt, he has evolved and adapted, especially on the defensive side of the football. Now, good coaches adapt. Great coaches adapt quickly and get great results. I think Lincoln Riley, with his willingness to adapt, can pick up the pace at which he adapts and eventually get great results, if you catch my drift there. USC is a place where it can turn quickly for you. The resources, we've spoken about the brand, the logo, being in LA, all those things, I think it can translate here pretty quickly. So to put a bow on this here, I think the box score doesn't tell the whole story, and I can't help but feel a little bit like Lincoln Riley right now at USC reminds me a little bit of what Jim Harbaugh was at Michigan early on. There was a point now with Jim Harbaugh we're all asking, is he the right guy in Ann Arbor? I mean, I get he's a Michigan guy, that's awesome, but is he the guy to get it done? Stayed the course, watered the plant for a long time behind closed doors, and eventually you saw it bloom. Is that USC? I think it could be, is my answer. I think it could be if I see another upward tick in production in 2025 on the defensive side of the football, and then I see an upward tick in production on the wins-losses side in a tough conference in the Big Ten, I would have some more cause for optimism because they're right there, man. They're very, very close. Close doesn't get you paid, but close should provide, I think, some belief for what they can be in Los Angeles. Just my take on it, man. But appreciate y'all calling in, man. Only Natties, Freaky T. One more call to get to here. Our guy Logan out there in Alabama. Logan, appreciate you calling, man.
Yo, JD, it's Logan from Auburn Live. As promised, I'm telling you I love you. Make sure you say it back and you mean it.
Logan, from me to you, on this YouTube platform that is the On3 YouTube channel, on this show, The Hard Count, the People's College Football Show, love you. All right, hear me? Love you. Appreciate you calling in. All right, let's move along here, man. We got one more segment to talk through here, and that is where Michigan currently is in the context of modern college football. Needs to be discussed because I think there is some thought for the casual college football crowd that, okay, Michigan caught a little sugar high in Bryce Underwood and a good portal class. They got that Dave Portnoy money, that Larry Ellison money pumping into the program, but like this is just what I said. It's a sugar high. I don't know if it's just sugar high, y'all. I think there's a lot more to this, and a big reason why is who they have running the show as their general manager in A1, Sean McGee. Now, this segment is powered by our friends, wait for it, over at Teamworks, baby. Teamworks, all right, bringing you this segment on the hard count. Great stuff from them, man. With the revenue sharing era with Teamworks, general manager is only going to be a more important position as we move on into modern college football. So, Teamworks general manager Purpose-built for collegiate athletics, trusted by 99% of D1 NCAA institutions, Teamworks is uniquely designed by those who understand the challenges of college athletics. Strategically allocate resources, optimize investments, evaluate your roster, and build championship-caliber teams all on one integrated platform. Check out teamworks.com/general-manager to learn more. We appreciate Teamworks, man, bringing the hard count today, bringing you this segment, talking about that man out there in Michigan, General Manager Sean McGee. So let's reset the table here. This is New Michigan. Hear me clearly. This is New Michigan with how they're approaching roster building. It's not a secret. You haven't seen Michigan play ball like this on the NIL front. Now, it's encouraging because in the last couple of seasons, you've seen Michigan win a national freaking championship. So you know that that brand has some power. You know that that brand has some success in the mind of recruits, whether it be portal or at the high school level. But some folks are going to see what's happening with the top 10 portal class and a top 10 recruiting class at the high school level and say, they're just throwing money around. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But guess what, man? Throwing money around doesn't build you good rosters. Throwing money around just makes it a cool visual and it makes for a nice social graphic, but it doesn't actually win you ball games. Hate to dunk on Texas A&M, but remember when Texas A&M, according to Nick Saban, bought their top-ranked recruiting class and then didn't do anything with it and now have a new head coach? Doesn't matter what your budget is, brother. If your architecture sucks, then your house is going to collapse. I'm here to tell you, Michigan, with Sean McGee, they have a true architect that actually understands Michigan. I think he's kind of the secret weapon because Sean McGee, a lot of people don't know, he was at Michigan during the Harbaugh era. And Sean McGee was a massive part of putting together those rosters that eventually won the national championship. So like Sean McGee, as much as we're talking about New Michigan here, he's New Michigan with resources and foresight and all those things and gets Michigan, but also there is the old Michigan values with him. And I think that cannot be overstated because if I'm a Michigan fan, and I have been a Michigan fan for the last 25 years of my life, and I'm like, man, okay, hey, I like that we're playing this NIL game, but me and my Michigan roots, I don't know if I like the direction we're heading here. Sean McGee, with the way that he operates, it's not going to be a thing where they just pivot to New Michigan all the way and they just totally abandon what worked. Like Pat McAfee, as funny as it is to say, is a great example of this. Like, dude has a great show that he's doing. It's getting a lot of attraction, and the audience is massive and all that. Goes to ESPN, and everyone's like, well, is it just going to be a totally different show now? No, it stays the same. In a roundabout comparison, I think that's Michigan football right now. They are staying the same with what has worked, which is we're going to be the absolute bully on the block. We're going to win in the trenches, and we're also now going to make sure that we have a culture that is second to none. Sean McGee highlighted that, I believe, in a separate interview he did, speaking to that kind of being their secret sauce. Like he talks about the culture being like the immune system for a roster. Like when you trust the culture and you're bought into the culture, you don't want to go anywhere else. You don't want to transfer portal out somewhere else when you get the first bag thrown your way for someone trying to poach you. So what I'm trying to say here is the roster has some staying power and it has the old Michigan, I think, values and approach to it. While at the same time now you understand as we progress into what the 12-team playoff is and beyond, we have to adapt. We have to evolve. We have to have some firepower on offense. So what do? You go get a Bryce Underwood. What do? You go get some high-profile wide receivers. That's where Michigan is right now. And so the exciting thing is you take the old Michigan brand, pair it with New Michigan ability and resources, and like they're going to be in good shape here. So the point is, for everyone thinking this is just a little caffeine hit for Michigan on the roster side, oh, great, NIL is legal. You got some people that are loosely involved with Michigan that want to throw some money at it. Awesome. That's not the case. Michigan is going to be around for a long time. Michigan has real structure to it. And Sean McGee, the GM there, is doing a phenomenal job and is a big reason why I think Michigan fans can and should expect great things here for a long time to come in Ann Arbor. And I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it all formulate. And it's the new world of college football, man. You got to have it. You have got to have it if you want to win at the highest level. And it being someone who knows how to run the show and build a roster and be synced up with your head coach like a Sean McGee is. So we appreciate Teamworks bringing y'all the hard count. We appreciate y'all being dialed in, dude. Propaganda running rampant, intel all over the place, voicemails left and right. We're giving out votes of affection here on this show. It's a good time to be alive, good time to talk college football, and a good time to be tuned in. And subscribe now to the hard count. So we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. For Cato on the ones and twos, for myself, JD PicKell, we're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.